Okay, so we'll resume the public hearing. So, application for change of use for principal structure.
Did you want him to look at it?
You can if you want. Do you want
So it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's fine.
The questions.
Okay, for summary, for use variance criteria. You have to pass these four separate sections here. Number one is cannot realize a reasonable term substantial as shown by competent financial evidence. Alleged hardship is unique and does not apply to substantial portion district or neighborhood. Request variance will not alter essential character of the neighborhood, and the alleged hardship has not been self-created. In response to that, I'm going to read these out. If you
Yeah,
if
I
you
got
have any
it.
questions about that, or before we start, or
Oh, I think I'm pretty deep.
okay,
So far, so good.
all right. First stop, the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return provided the lack of return is substantial as demonstrated by competent financial evidence provided by the applicant. The ZBA determines that the owner has failed to provide any financial evidence establishing that they cannot realize a reasonable return for each and every permitted use in the HLS district, or the lack of such return would be substantial. The claim presented was based on the owner paying a higher value than the previous selling price does not establish that the owner cannot realize a reasonable return. The owner purchased the property for $445,000, and based on the current assessment, the current full market value is $759,600. Does the board agree with that statement?
Sure.
Do you agree with that statement?
I do.
Okay, so that's all in favor.
Aye.
All right.
The alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood. The ZBA determines that the alleged hardship limited to one dwelling unit is not unique to this property, as this limitation applies to the entire district. The uniqueness element requires that the hardship be particular to inherent to subject property as compared to other properties in the same zoning district. Here, this property shares the same characteristics as a neighboring property. The personal difficulties of the current landowner do not constitute a unique hardship. Do you agree with that statement?
I agree.
I agree.
So I. Procedural impact of the grant. Impact of the grant and granting the accused requested use variance will alter the essential character of the neighborhood. And although the grant of a single use variance may not alter the character of the neighborhood, the addition of dwelling units will result in increased congestion and traffic in the neighborhood. Granting use variances when there is no unnecessary hardship will establish precedent which will erode the town's existing single-family dwelling requirement. Agree?
I agree.
Right. The alleged hardship has not been self-created. Any hardship created by the denial of a variance was self-created by the prior owner, as well as the owner who failed to exercise reasonable diligence in investigating the town's zoning laws and construction status. New York State is a buyer beware state, adhering to the doctrine of caveat emptor and imposing no liability on the seller for failing to disclose information regarding the premises when parties deal at arm's length, unless there's some conduct on the part of the seller or its other agents which constitutes active concealment.
I
I
agree.
agree.
So the ZBA determines that the use variance is be denied. All in favor of the denial?
Aye.
I am.
Aye. So we denied
Just to clarify, did that come from Sheila? That was from,
Sheila and I.
okay.
I gave her some information that she lawyer polished it up a little bit because I have mostly numbers and stuff, but yeah. So we reviewed it and agreed to the thing and we have to do that part.
Mhm.
I spoke to you before about the whole buyer beware thing in New York State. has in place, because I know you weren't happy with, the way the realtor presented it. The original sales.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, this state. Here. And just to be honest with you about that part, but that's the law. As long as they don't conceal something or actively conceal or prevent you from finding things out. So in this case, the zoning laws were available online.
yeah,
That kind of.
yeah, I mean, I guess I know we're kind of, it's more of this informal discussion now, but to that, if we had talked to the code enforcer at that time and found out that there was a stock work order on it, that wouldn't have really changed our understanding of what could be put in there, right? Like, that's what we would have found out, is that there's a stop work order, which isn't, that could be remedied.
Well, it
So-
depends on how far you go to take that. And yes, this is after the 20, I just like people understand what they.
But that's kind of my point, is I know, to your last point, if we did that and we talked, if you were in the position, we talked to you and you said there's a stop work order, has to be remedied, then we would remedy it. You know, it wasn't that this was.
Well, you would have decided if that's what you're gonna do. But again, if you decide to do that, that was one of your options,
Mhm.
because you would have to actually start it yourself, because you wouldn't been taking over somebody else's permit.
Yeah, but we would assume that what we thought we could do there could have been done.
With the whole assume part, that's the point where people you need to dive in and find out what really is available legally versus what's not, because laws change over time too.
So you're saying if we had called the previous code enforcer and asked him, like, there's a stop work order on this, he would have said to us at that time, like, you can't do anything on that property because you don't have a use variance. He would have said that.
I don't know what they would have said. I'm just saying
Right.
you have to
That's
go
kind of
through.
what, I mean,
It's
That's
part of it.
part of it. That's what would have happened. The stop.
he would
work
have
order-
said that,
Yeah, the stop work order prevents you from even using the structure.
right? But he would have,
Like technically, everything that's in there with the stop work order, everything that's in that garage now should be gone.
Yeah.
yeah,
By law, it should be gone. So if there's a bedroom in there, it should be gone. If you're hooked to the sewer, it should not be hooked to the sewer. None of that should be done.
yeah, I guess though, if we, like, think about when you're buying a house, if we had called and talked to who was in your position at that time, they would have told us there's a stop work order on it. Okay, well, you could remedy it and you could do the things that you need to do to remedy it. Like, that wouldn't have, if you were buying our place, that wouldn't have changed your decision. Like, they wouldn't have said,
I mean, we can't, I can't project how you would have handled that information.
but I think that's the only information we would have had available. I mean,
Well, there's what you could have actually done with the place, like making it a second principal use. You would have found that out and you looked at the zoning laws or talked to a CEO that was acting in a competent manner.
yeah, but I mean, you could only talk, you gotta go with what the CO says. I mean, I can't, I mean, I guess we put in the trust of the town at the time. But I'm not trying to argue it. I just hope you guys could be in my shoes and understand, you know.
No, I do. I do
totally
understand.
where you're-
Yeah,
I've, in the price, people that's still going up. Prices are still going up like crazy. I know a place that just sold this week for 50% more than was listed. And that's constant. So
I think
unfortunately,
he's-
like I said, even if,
yeah,
you're going through a realtor and you think they're acting in good faith, there's limits to what the state holds them accountable for. Inspectors is even worse. There's inspectors, I've seen them completely blow a thing and then it's just like New York says, you can't hold them accountable, which seems ridiculous.
so I guess, so as a town, you're recommending when, like, if I were to buy a place today, or you were to buy a place today, you're saying that every owner should, I guess, call the town, see if there's any stop work orders, and then also, like, consult someone to look at all the zoning laws, like, so that's what you do on yours? You would get an attorney to look at all the zoning laws and
You can do it yourself. It depends on how legally competent or how much time you have, yes. And unfortunately, that's, you know,
Is that what you did? Like that's done on
It's
yours?
constantly changing all the time. It's.
I guess I don't think people do that, but
no, they don't.
I deal with it quite, I mean, I at least 2 to 3 times a month, I deal with
Mhm.
realtors and attorneys on property sales, asking those specific questions.
But you have to know to ask. And that's the unfortunate part about a
Mhm.
lot of people, in case your case, the kind of thing you walked into. If you just take it at point blank face value, you can get left hanging in the wind. That's the way the state operates,
Mhm.
unfortunately. For
Yeah, I think-
a lot of things, because personally, I'm not that impressed with a lot of realtors.
Yeah, I get that impression.
You know, they just, they
I think
take their
the-
money and they,
Yeah.
a lot of them, I mean, some are real stand-up people, other people.
They'll tell you whatever you want to hear to your face, but.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think with the use variance though, like the spirit of the variance and the, you know,
Well, a use variance is supposed to be very difficult to get.
correct. Right, but
That's
there
why
are,
you have to pass all the criteria.
yeah,
Whereas an area variance, you can fail on 4 of them, but if they're not considered significant failures, you can still get it.
yeah,
That's more, let's say, more generous to the landowner, if you will. But a use variance is extremely hard.
I think there's,
On purpose, because they
Yeah.
don't want rezoning to take place ad hoc.
no, I understand. I get it.
And that's why they do
It's to
that.
protect us, but I mean, to be honest, you weren't involved in one. There was one 3 years ago and the use variance was accepted.
Yeah, I would have voted against that.
Yeah, I mean, that was,
one day out of getting hip surgery, so.
yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't.
But you can understand where I come from my standpoint, like seeing, that's actually right down the street. So when we talk about.
But you didn't know about that before you bought the place, right? You found out about that afterwards?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and every case that we have is based on, is determined on the merit of that single case. And there's no actual set of precedents from that,
Mhm.
although you do have, you know, if it happen all the time and there's some level of prejudice proven, that's a different story.
Mhm.
Like I said, that's why I try to go out of the way to tell people what's going on and why.
No, I know you,
On that part of it.
I think I just look at it and I just kind of say, how would anyone ever get use variance? You know, because
They're
spirit of the
supposed to be,
neighborhood.
they're supposed to be very difficult to get, and it is very, it's not like an area variance. Area variances are much easier to get than the use variances, and they design that that way. In fact, Eric and I just went to class last Friday, and they talked a great deal about use variances.
Mhm.
And the whole premise behind them and the different steps we have to go through for that
Gotcha.
versus area variance.
It almost seemed like
I understand.
the usage variances that were approved over the last few years were temporary. For different things or whatever they were.
Well, there is a use variance.
Certain venues and different things that we're talking about, like.
Yeah, that's there's a lot, yeah.
Variance for like a month and then that was it, you know, what I mean, it wasn't a permanent type
Yeah.
of deal.
You
The
weren't,
ones that were actually
Yeah.
approved were only like temporary. for,
Yeah.
You know, concert venues and whatever else.
except the one I'm referring to, which Ed knows which I'm referring to. I mean, that was for a brand new, beautiful build.
Right.
But,
Yeah, in fact, when I first heard about your case, I mean, I
Yeah.
thought, didn't we just have that case a few years ago?
and it approved. And
I wasn't here because like I said, I just had my hip replaced the day before, so I didn't know what end was up at that point, but, yeah. But that was, I mean, the town doesn't want people building accessory buildings and moving into them. I mean, bottom.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't want that either. None of us do. But I guess there are situations that I think do apply. It's very stringent. I just think we had a very good reason for ours. I mean, character of the neighborhood, how are you ever going to overcome that? Like, that's the whole point of use variance.
Well, the biggest thing in your case was the hardship and the financial hardship claims. That, I mean, that was the fact that, and people are just doing this all over the place. They're paying above value or above listed price routinely still. And, you know, personally, I wouldn't spend that kind of money on Honeywell Lake, but if you want to live in a lake, Canisius and Canandaigua are even more expensive. So this is what drives it. There's kind of a pattern to it. people, I mean, my property that I just managed for wildlife is gone up 400 and something percent since I bought it. And then, you know, I just plant crops and trees.
Yeah,
So, I mean.
yeah, I don't think we would get that out of our property though. I know, understand what the assessed number you,
Quadrupled
but I don't think,
5 years.
No, you know,
I don't think without.
yeah, my opinion of assessments is that's a whole nother discussion, but.
But that's what the opinion was based on.
That was, well, it was based on apples to apples. You know, that's why they did it that way. Because actually, when you compare what you paid versus what other people paid in a time period, the average is even higher. So,
Do we get a copy of
yes,
that? Okay.
like I said, you can't get this one because it just says draft and we'll get the official.
I don't have an official one.
Well, you just take the draft off it and
Right,
because we didn't change any of the wording.
Thanks.
right.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. we-
Just mail it to them, right?
Hmm?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That would
I
be
can
the
just mail it
way to
you.
do it. Yeah,
Yep.
mail.
there's a time frame in the code.
Yeah, I usually do it the next day.
Yeah, she does it right away, so.
I'll mail it
Okay.
out to you.
Lot of money.
Thanks. That's it then.
Yeah.
Drive careful.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna stick around for a little bit.
Okay. So we have, what's your name, sir? David Hudak, and
Here to, for
Mhm.
position, not. for-
yeah, no, that's why I wanted to know your name. Which
Oh,
one?
Jerry Ellman, yeah.
Jerry, okay, and okay, sorry, because we had several people right in now. Because we got 2 openings right now, and we're gonna have 4.
Get it close.
Okay,
And
sorry.
then you got a table,
Wayne,
wings, they gotta open it and then.
The other thing with Wayne's, nothing's official yet.
we don't,
Well, you set the public hearing date for today, so you have to open. it. So then you have to.
We set the public hearing for him for today.
Yeah, we,
for Wayne Blackmer, yeah.
yeah.
We shouldn't have, because you didn't have all the data yet. Okay, we can do
Doesn't
a
have
table
all,
there.
Just waiting for a survey?
Yeah, we can't,
He turned an application in a few days before.
it was, yeah, that's,
And then you told him we needed more data
Mhm.
and then we set the public hearing for today,
okay, we didn't accept his application yet, though.
correct?
So
Just
I
take-
mean, we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I
All right.
guess we're gonna keep this.
We'll close this till we get more.
No, we'll table, well, this is for,
Oh.
and then we get the
Okay.
table Wayne's.
Okay.
And I will be here
Official survey.
September and October.
Good.
Now we're gonna close.
I'm going to Florida, but I'm going after our meeting and then we're coming back before the last one.
And then I can.
So we don't even, we have to approve the minutes yet.
Yeah, approve the minutes.
The other thing I was gonna ask you, Steph, another woman. 2 months ago, 3 months
I
ago.
emailed her, she's not interested.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I can't remember her name.
Camille,
Come here, yeah.
she took the historian, deputy historian
Oh,
position.
so that was the person you thought it was, okay. So
But I
now we're still gonna be
we
short
talked to her last week also, and she said she wasn't going to.
because she's doing this time. Okay, all right. Put that one. Reason for bringing it up, I don't think we should set up the public hearings until we have all the information for the application.
I agree,
and then accept the application, then set the public hearing.
exactly. Isn't that what we used to do?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I think we should stick with that because that's,
It's gonna take, if people have the information, it's taking longer, and the survey thing's gonna be a bigger headache for people, because it's,
Yeah, you know, they have, what, 62 days or something?
that's after they accept
The application.
the application.
Yeah, you didn't accept the application because you needed more information.
Right.
He,
Right, because the time constraints on it, you want to be able to get back in here before.
yeah,
Right.
But so in the case when somebody can't make the meeting and they want it tabled or carried over,
Mhm.
that doesn't count against the clock either, just so you know that in the future. So if we have a case comes in here and somebody, they accept their application, then they can't make it, you're gonna get this a lot in the winter time.
Right.
Okay,
Especially with the, I know the surveyors are insanely busy, so that to try to fit it time constraint.
yeah, and that's why I say we need to avoid these time stamps, things, situations. If they have
Turning
the
the applicant
information.
more than it is us.
It does,
Right.
unfortunately, but
Right.
that's the laws, they're making more changes to the law,
No,
so.
I'm saying if we accepted it and they didn't have all the information, it puts them in a bad spot too.
Yeah.
The applicant.
Yeah.
No,
Yep, exactly. Because we can only rule on what we have.
Right,
So if somebody doesn't have information, then we need to approve it. Then it gets denied. And they can't do anything for a year, so
right.
It's- as much as it takes extra time, it's better to get it right the first time than cost them a
I
year,
agree.
because they
Yeah,
try.
because it would cost them a whole year with the,
Yeah,
they got denied.
Yeah.
Just because of a lapse or a survey or.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
Okay.
it's gonna get, and like I said, the way some of these things are, it's gonna get more and more drawn out, unfortunately, because just as this is full upon a Wayne House, if people don't know the process, don't know the laws, and that's why I try to go out of my way to make sure to explain it to people, because believe me, you're not alone, and
And then we're
Not
adding
this
all the
stuff.
environmental stuff to it by the state, which is.
That's gonna add on a whole,
More time constraints and it's a lot of different things.
that's gonna add on another level.
are you talking about the new secret laws?
Could be, yeah,
Yeah,
the more laws they pass.
Cause now it's no more like, we can't trust the property owner in their application with the seeker. I actually am required to go into the state program and compare their answers and check their answers now to see if they're correct.
Yeah,
You
we
can do
just
that
saw
now?
We saw that on Friday. They showed it
Yeah.
to us. All
Yeah,
the-
anytime there's a seeker involved now, I have to double check the seeker to make sure whoever's applying has the correct answers, because a lot of times with those seeker forms, it was just no
Yeah,
on all of them.
yeah, right,
So it was 3 years ago, it must have been, it was 3 years ago, we're in Batavia. When
right,
they announced the changes to the wetlands program,
exactly.
and they told us at that time, they were reducing the area that was the minimum needed to have it declared wetlands, and they were not informing landowners that they'd done it.
Yeah.
Because I brought that up in a meeting, I says, you mean to tell me you're gonna put people's property under wetlands conditions,
Not informed.
Yeah.
and they never get any notification?
Yeah.
And they said, yes.
We-
So that's, I mean, there's.
And then we deal with it at the local level when they get denied.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to sell your property
Right.
and nobody's told you got wetlands and somebody just has to go through that, if they find that out, then it affects things. Yeah, that's just the state, it's just, things like that.
Careful.
It's just, to
New York State.
change somebody's property at the state level
Yeah,
and not bother telling them. And they did it with aerial surveys to determine what kind of flora and fauna was on the property.
no,
That's just nuts, but
yeah, I agree.
that's what it is. Okay, can I motion to approve the minutes? Did you get off track?
I'll make a motion.
I was not here.
Yep, that's okay.
Oh.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, close the meeting.
Oh, yes, I'll make a motion that we close the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Close the meeting. Right.
Aye.
So you guys just got a quick